Hello everyone, welcome to the stream. Let me just do something real fast. There we go, that's good. Okay. Can everyone hear me all right? All right. So, welcome to the stream. The inaugural first stream back to streaming since the MGS5 50K anniversary. Sorry. Today, I wanted to start going through these comments. And the reason I'm doing this is because I want to do a corrections video. I think that as somebody who sort of does like analytical content, I guess it's important for me to be clear on things that I got wrong, things that I got right. And there are a few critical things that I think are important to note before we get into Kingdom Hearts 3. Another reason I want to do this that I actually find interesting is we take all the comments and sort of sort them by like in the so I can go ahead and switch over to my other scene here. Our big blankets are praise, criticism, mixed, and other. And the reason why I'm sorting them that way, and I'm going to go deeper than that later, but for now I just want to take all these comments over here and put them into these brackets. I think it's going to be interesting to be able to see the spread of like how many comments each video got in terms of like praise versus criticism and stuff like that. I don't think that information is going to be very useful as a whole to people, but I do think that it's going to be interesting looking back on this video series as a whole once it's finished, which it almost is, which is crazy to say. Scattyologist says, I use your opening from the MGS video a lot when discussing films and stuff with my peers at uni or just friends. That's cool, thanks. I'm glad that you like it. There every now and again, I kind of wish that I hadn't mentioned Joseph Anderson. That's like one of the comments that I actually got pretty often on that video. It was like, are you for real about a lot has changed since that video was written. I actually just finished watching the sort of like 2-hour-long critique of Joseph Anderson and that other guy's Elden Ring videos. And it was really sort of eye-opening to me as somebody who also considers himself in this sort of space. I like to, take things like that and consider whether or not I'm doing an okay job in terms of how I'm presenting my arguments and stuff. And part of going through these comments will hopefully reveal a little bit of that. So probably shouldn't waste any more time because, like I say in the thumbnail, there are 930 of them. We won't get through them all today. And I'm depending on how this goes, I might not do them all on stream, but let's just get rolling here. I swear by calm on GBA over PS2. I guess I would have to replay calm on GBA in order to know, because I haven't actually played it since I was a child. The PS2 yeah, the PS2 version is the one that I always gravitate to, just for the full, CGI cutscenes and stuff like that, which look awesome, and the voice acting is really good. But anyway, stop it, Anakin! You're breaking my heart, Joe Good. Yeah, no, I still like him. I think that he has some blind spots that I wish that he would address as well. And so I guess you could call this me doing my due diligence in a lot of ways, but let's get into it. So, Slushy Joke here says that beginning part talking about Riku's fight basically teaching me not to be greedy with button mashing. I can't believe Kingdom Hearts trained me for Dark Souls. A lot of people don't realize how similar they are. I'm gonna put this in other though. The reason being, so praise is gonna be comments that are specifically sort of talking about how they like the video, or sort of praising my you know, praising the content of the video. Basically, criticism is gonna be the opposite. It's gonna be people criticizing what happened in the video, the stuff that I said, whether that's disagreements in opinion or stuff that I objectively got wrong. Mixed is going to be somewhere in between, where they praised some things, criticized others, and other is somewhere in between. There's going to be a lot of like joke comments that fall into this blanket. But this one is kind of a joke, but it's also true. There it goes. As someone who's never seen it before, I'm really glad you showed the scene with Sora's initial talk with Tarzan. The last bit of this says, I probably don't have a point here, but TLDR, it's really cool that you went this far into giving us these details that best build up the story rather than the basic recap most people have done. It's interesting. It's interesting how many different opinions there are on this particular topic. Some people don't want all of the recap, and some people think that it's necessary. I'm one of those people, but fighting with the amount of recap that you do is something that I do on a video basis, deciding how much recap to do. So glad that person liked it. One thing I always think about with the intro of the raft building is that it's not an actual desire. Oh, so let me be clear also. We're starting with Kingdom Hearts 1. This is all Kingdom Hearts 1. Not an actual desire to leave, but more so an activity done by kids who are starting to gain a desire of exploration. They always come to the island in a bay, as we see it later from the main line in this and Kingdom Hearts 2 with rowboats, but they still are close to home. It's an activity that represents their desire for independence and foreshadows them eventually going on their own. It's something for them to do together, an activity that makes them happy. Or maybe these three were planning to go out to the sea with about 2 days of food and half a day's worth of water. Considering how they act, I can see that happening. They all share about 13 brain cells that mostly belong to Riku on the best of days. Yeah, that's a solid comment on the opening. Probably talking mostly about sort of my thoughts on how the game opens and how it's a little ridiculous in a way, but that's okay. There's a lot of reasons why it's ridiculous, and I don't necessarily think it's a problem either. No idea if you'll see this, but thank you for making these videos. Just came from the MGS5 video. Have some form of autism. Used it to call Asperger's. Used to call it Asperger's. I have a tendency to take things at face value more than I'd like. Enough so that I can't see the depths of things that others can. I know there's more to these stories that I can see, so this is helpful for me. Helps me sound smarter when I talk about it. Thanks for the work. I deeply appreciate it. Yeah, no problem. I never thought about how the fights against the kids on Destiny Islands are all teaching you the combat and game mechanics. It's so interesting how game designers teach you sneakily without realizing it's happening. Game design really came a long way in the PS2 era. That was something I didn't realize until I started writing the video. Thinking about the mechanics that are used in those fights, it definitely feels like they are trying to let you know kind of how the game works, and I thought that it was really solid. I was just complaining on another video that Kingdom Hearts fans are terrible at retelling the story of Kingdom Hearts. This is the first time I've seen someone actually tell the story instead of just giving a list of disconnected events that only really matter in context. With this video, you provided all the necessary context and didn't bog down anything with explanations of future games that are, that was actually, here we go. Future games that are unrelated every couple seconds. I also really love all the tech talk since I'm making Kingdom Hearts Dark Seeker Saga D-Make for GBA. That's an interesting concept, and I would actually really like to play that. But yeah, again, I think that the idea behind doing this entire series as a, you know, doing it in chronological order, not talking about future games, is important to sort of understanding the story as it evolved, rather than understanding the story as it is currently. And there's elements that I think are like, they're both important, you know. It's important that you have both. I'm just trying to do the former rather. And also I want to be clear, because to some people I think that this could look like self-aggrandizing. I'm not necessarily trying to do that. I think what you have to understand is that a lot of the comments that you receive, at least on my channel, are pretty glowingly positive. And I think that that's true for the majority of creators. It can be easy to feel like YouTube is a very hostile place. But ultimately, what you're going to end up with is you've got people that comment because they like it a lot and they sort of got something meaningful out of it. And sometimes you'll have people that comment because they disagree with you. But ultimately, what I'm 100% confident that I'm going to find at the end of this experiment is that every video in this series, even the more divisive ones, are largely, like, maybe even 90% positive comments. And I don't even necessarily think that that speaks to an exceptionally good quality of writing on my part or anything like that. I think that's just kind of how YouTube is, at least in my experience. Most of the time, people are going to comment positively, and that's a good thing. There's actually missable NPCs in Agrabah that are reskins of the man we see get his heart taken in Traverse Town, and a reskin of Waka, both explaining how their towns were full of people but everyone is off hiding now. They're only available after clearing Agrabah and not leaving the world. They'll be occupying the stores. It's weird that they would do that at all, and I wish that they'd make it more of a regular thing for the worlds. Okay, I didn't know that. That's interesting. So there are a couple missable NPCs after you beat Agrabah, but before you leave. I don't necessarily know that that would fix the problem I have with that one, but with that world, being that it just feels extremely empty, but that's a cool detail. I like it. I yearn for the day I get a comment that just says, "This video was alright, I'm kind of indifferent on it." Yeah, indifference is not something that usually drives people to comment. That's the thing. Where should this go? I'll put it in other. Ever bringing Sora back always cracks me up. Don't worry, Sora, this time I'll protect you. Immediately calls to Sora for help. Yeah, it's silly. But it works, I guess. It's a bit out of context, but I just wanted to say it. It still baffles me to see that how spite good your retrospective videos are, you still only have such a small amount of subscribers. I might not always agree with what you say, but you're a wholesome source of inspiration for me to not give up on my goals, even though I have almost zero chances of my content being noticed. I genuinely hope that you will soon blow up and have the opportunity of making a living out of this. Thank you, and don't give up. Love the video so far. Just wanted to mention my experience as a child of what you discuss at 3443. Okay, so let's really quickly go and see what he's talking about. They are talking about. I don't know what gender you are. 3443. Goodbye, Lo-Fi Beats.
Basically, no story can be conveyed. That problem is this. Why does Clayton want to kill the gorillas? If your answer contains any details from the movie that aren't present in the game, that's the wrong answer. If you're
okay, so it's the whole thing about the game's not really explaining the villains at all. The devs most definitely leave out plot details in their KH iterations, which I'm sure you discuss ad nauseum in the other vids as you should. When I was little, I didn't mind or even really notice that much. The first several times my brother or I played through Kingdom Hearts 1, I hadn't yet seen Tarzan, Hercules, or The Nightmare Before Christmas. But the game did well at giving me the basic gist of this dude is bad and he's currently doing bad things. They take this a bit too far in later games in my opinion, but maybe that's because I now have seen all the featured movies and know just how much they are not telling Sora or us. Storytelling isn't great, but this issue kind of helps the pit stop nature of the worlds, which you also discuss. This is also why I actually love how much Olympus Coliseum shows up. It gives them an opportunity to explore different facets of the first film in each game instead of fighting to cram a whole plot line into a tiny filler arc. That's a good point. See a blue shell. I heard it's because NPCs don't spawn in areas with Heartless, and there's only that one moment when Heartless aren't set to spawn, so it feels like a bit of an oversight. Yeah, I can see that. So back to this. Yeah, so I think that a lot of the criticisms that I might have of this series as a whole obviously come in the form of, you know, looking at this from the perspective of an adult, because that is the perspective from which I write, right? I try to take some of that stuff into account. Ultimately, a lot of the stuff that I complain about isn't going to matter to a kid. You also have to take a note that Nomura has gone on record as stating that the series is not for kids, and so there's that. But yes, the story's not really doing a very good job of telling themselves is systemic to the series, and only gets worse as this person mentions. But as a kid, probably not that big of a deal. Doesn't mean it's not worth criticism though. Let's put this in mixed. I've wondered for about 10 years why Sora felt that he knew Hollow Bastion and why he felt that he knew the picture in Deep Jungle. I put two together and knew that the castle in the picture was Hollow Bastion, but never understood why Sora felt like that. Now it makes sense that it is because of Kairi. Thank you for answering this question for me 10 years after. Yeah, I only realized this after starting to write this video too. Someone replied to this with a very snarky, like, "How dumb are you?" kind of comment, and I was just like, yeah, okay. Which I just found really funny because I also didn't realize this until I started writing this video. So anyway, I'll put this in other. It makes perfect sense that Triton would be extremely suspicious of anyone wielding a Keyblade, especially at this point in the story, no matter how positive the actions are this time. It suits his character very well. I think to say that it suits his character well is a good point. My criticism of that part is more so in the sense of like, it doesn't make sense in like an overarching narrative sort of sense of like, he just brings this stuff up without clarifying it at all. I felt like it would be a really great moment for them to put in like a story that he tells, right? Of like, you know, once upon a time, this one Keyblade wielder came here to the ocean and just laid waste to our people or something, and maybe that story would be too dark, but you get my point. That like, yeah, it's in character for him. It's just that it isn't extrapolated upon or like explained at all. It just kind of comes out of nowhere and then doesn't really do anything for the story going forward from that point. It's just like a needless hurdle that I guess sort of ties in the Kingdom Hearts narrative with what happens in the movie. I'll put this in criticism though. As we grow up, the series also, reading chat, tries to grow up with its players, but ultimately it fails to even gloss over stuff that has been done earlier, like its own writer doesn't know how to tie everything. I agree. It tries to do a lot of things as it gets older, and Union Cross is no doubt the best example of this, but it's a little strange. I've never actually played a KH game, but your analysis of KH2 combat intrigued me. How does it compare to heavy hitters in the action genre, like DMC5, and is it worth trying out? I've only played a little bit of DMC5. I can't really speak to it. Hello, everyone that's just joining us, reading comments. Kingdom Hearts to me is more like Dark Souls Light than it is like a DMC5-esque. It's not really a hack and slash. It's a little more grounded, I would say, especially in the KH2 era. That being said, I think that KH2 is definitely worth picking up if you're only interested in the combat. Feel free to skip the cutscenes. You won't insult me. Depending on how my review of Kingdom Hearts, or my analysis of Kingdom Hearts 3 goes, I may just recommend you play that one. I don't know, which would be a crazy sort of morality shift from from the beginning of this series, but that was the whole point of making the series, right? Was to see how my opinion evolves as I revisit all these titles. Triton's whole deal seems really funny in hindsight because from what we know right now, his only experience would likely be Xehanort during his unseen travels. That's an interesting thought. KH2 is by far the more action-y combo focused and worth the time, even if you skip all the cutscenes. I agree. KH2 is very good. Tinkerbell actually helped me a lot during the fight with the Dragon Maleficent on the PS2. Indeed, she does. This series was really special to me growing up. It's amazing reliving it through someone who's passionate about the games. You get dearly beloved, and that's the main thing to me. Thank you. I'm really looking forward to the rest of the series. Thank you. I've been addicted to this retrospective analysis video essay type of media recently. Something about seeing a lengthy 2-hour plus content filled with nostalgia hits the spot. Kingdom Hearts being one of, if not my top favorite game series of all time. I was so excited to see someone had tackled this beast of a topic. There's more. I'll delete that one. Every minute of the entirety of the 3+ hours flew by. Thank you for spending so much time. You've earned the subscription. Thank you. Appreciate it. Amazing retrospective. I appreciate that it's actually full of analysis. Love to see the videos like this about my favorite games of all time. Thank you. The part where Sora goes from being a shadow to a human again, I always felt is like how Ansem is basically a bodiless shadow himself before inhabiting Riku. Sora having a strong enough will and emotion to basically awaken and take his own shape again. Talk about achievement in ignorance. Talk about achievements in ignorance. I'm really not sure what this is trying to say. I don't know if it's trying to say that I was ignorant when I didn't realize that, or I don't know. Let's I'm just gonna table that one for now. Maybe I'll come back to it later. Sven says I wasn't a big fan of the magic cooldown system of 2. I agree. I actually criticized it in my 0.2 video, which was members only. It has issues. I will bring them back up in the Kingdom Hearts 3 video for sure, and I should have mentioned them more in Kingdom Hearts 2. Summons are always the absolute last things I pull out, only resorted to Tink against Mr. Unknown and to Stitch for a couple data fights. Summons, yeah, are widely underused, but actually very powerful if you know how to use them. Okay. Ansem, let your heart dash me having played through 95% of the franchise already be your guiding key. I get this now. I understand what this means. That's a joke comment, so. I work 12-hour shifts, so I'm always looking for long-form videos that I can listen to without having to watch the video the entire time. Glad I came across your channel. Yeah, thanks. You know what's crazy? Tarzan was right. Kairi was in Sora's heart. That is true. Only an hour in, but this is incredible. I cannot fathom how many dozens and dozens of hours this took to make. Yeah, it takes a long time. Thanks. Watching this simultaneously gave me those rose-tinted glasses and PTSD. Yeah, I agree. This clunky game will always have a huge place in my heart. LOL, many of nights spent on school days with my brother and sister trying to take out Sephiroth and Ansem and Ice Titan and just messing around looking for Dalmatians. Still one of my favorite games of all time despite nostalgia. I can critique it but never hate it. Great video. I agree. Thank you. Magic is actually key to mix into your combat if you want to defeat enemies and bosses with lower stats. For example, Stop works on both Giant Ursula, Chernobog, and to the point where with a few items you can keep them from attacking at all. Summons also work well on level 1. Simba can clear most of the final rest, and Mushu can kill the first fight with Ansem. Yeah, this is true. I think I understate the power. I understate the power of summons in the first video. And that's because, largely speaking, the game doesn't really challenge you enough to need them until you start playing at like the max difficulty at level 1, and like then you gotta really start experimenting with stuff. But good comment. I'll put it in criticism. Sven say, if they still need the cooldown, I would prefer recharging it faster by hitting the enemy. Yeah, I suggested that in the 0.2 video. I think that would actually make that magic system like a perfect blend of the two. Because the recharge encourages way too much passive gameplay. It's easy to encourage passive gameplay with that system, and I think that adding that system where if you hit them, it actually speeds up the recharge, that would probably be a really great addition. Just curious, did you sort these comments by most recent or most popular when pulling it? Most popular, or most relevant, I guess is what YouTube calls them. Lesterborns, which game does summons the best? Either 2, well, I was about to say either 2 or 3, but there's only 3 games that has summons. Either 2 or 3. I think 2 or 3 did them better than 1. But I'm not sure if 2 or 3 is the best. I need to play 3 before I get there. This is the level of depth I really want out of a KH video. Thank you. I have so much love for KH1. It's by far my favorite game of all time. Been playing for 22 years. It never gets old. I've been replaying it for years. Your videos are really shows your love for this masterpiece of a game, and I really enjoyed it. Thank you. Thank you. After working my way through your MGS videos, I can't wait to continue with Kingdom Hearts. Really appreciate your work you put into your content. Love it. Thank you. As always, your analysis is dangerously based and very well thought out. I love that term, dangerously based. I'm looking forward to the next installment. I'm curious to hear your thoughts about 3. Keep up the amazing work. Dangerously based is also what you say when you baste something with like lava, which is I don't recommend. Sven, you say, I recall a mod that did similar to my idea on the Nexus mods. Didn't recall what it was called. I would be interested in playing Kingdom Hearts 2 again with that mod, or Kingdom Hearts 3. Never played the handhelds. Well, depending on what you're going for, I think you're not missing much. If you're interested in the story, then you're missing a lot with Days, in particular. But otherwise, gameplay is a step down for every single one of the handhelds. Every numbered title does gameplay better than every handheld, and to a certain extent, that should be expected. With the maybe sole exception of, you know what, I'm not gonna make that take. That is a flaming hot take that I'm not willing to make right now. As always, I re-snapshotted this one because I started to notice this guy pop up a couple times. We'll be seeing them again later. It just makes me laugh. They are bad at the game. It's not well thought out. You're just too limited to realize. We'll get back to this person later. Oh yeah, here's a couple replies that they left on a different comment. They have a small number of subs because they aren't good at the game. They are bad at the game. Howie DeWitt, if you're watching right now, which I know you're not, but if you're if you're watching right now, thank you. These comments made me laugh. Yes, that was exact. I was about to say that Recoded might be better than one of the 3. I'm not sure. I think maybe I need to play it again. The gameplay, that one is really good. but it's got a lot of shortcomings though. I'm not sure if it can truly be better than 1. It would be 1. If I was gonna choose one, it would be the first one. But been watching my friend play Kingdom Hearts 1 since August, and she beats Kingdom Hearts 1 at level 55 on normal a few weeks ago. When we get to days, I'm gonna play while she watches using an emulator I have on my Switch. Sounds wonderful. I tried to play through all of the Kingdom Hearts games with my wife a long time ago, and she was just not that into them. So that's a shame. Hi, I wanted to say I love your videos and you are among the best in the KH creator space. Thank you, Lance. I appreciate it. All right, back to comments. I have so much love for Kingdom Hearts 1, by far my favorite game of all time. I'm 29, I've been playing it for 20. Oh wait, I thought we already did this one. Well, I'm gonna put it here, but I think that's a duplicate. Actually, I put that in the wrong file. I'll fix it later, it's not a big deal. I'm going back through all these later. After working my way through your MGS vids, I can't wait to continue with Kingdom Hearts. We did this one again. What happened? Oh, here we go. Okay, now we're caught up. One of my favorite underwatched long-form channels to listen to alongside Private Sessions and Patrician TV. My estranged family. It's funny how you even mentioned the Elder Scrolls series in this analysis. Make me wonder if how long it will be till you give your take on them. Don't hold out. I don't expect that to happen. This is a praise though. Seeing the announcement vid yesterday. Oh, cool. So like a new 40-ish minute Kingdom Hearts video every couple months, interspersed with the occasional 10-minute video devoted to Recoded or something. Got it. Seeing this video on my sub box. Ah, yeah. That's that was not quite correct. I believe the control scheme of the original PS2 release is superior to the remix version because the right stick scrolls through the command menu and L2 and R2 pan the camera. This allows you to comfortably maneuver Sora around the battlefield while searching spells and items. You know, I never really used it because there's a point to be made for that. I personally never used it because my fingers were always on either the jump button or the attack button or the dodge button. You could make a point for this, but I think that having the full camera control is nice though. We'll put this in other. You knew exactly what you were doing here. Let's see what Baby Arms was talking about. 5258.
Threshold, they go into a mode where they will summon another angel if not taken out quickly enough. The enemies ramp up steadily as the game goes on, from simple and easy to complex and requiring much more focus.
The simple and clean reference. You know, when I was writing that, I don't think I intended it, but it works. Joke comment. You're gonna get a big one of these days. I don't know, has it happened yet? 10,000 subs is not, it's not bad. It's good. I think that puts me in a fairly high percentile of all the YouTube channels. So. I kind of want to do a Morrowind versus Kingdom Hearts 1 video of some kind because I find it funny how they came out the same year. That's shocking. You know, they're very different videos, but even just thinking visually, just more. This may be a weird take. Morrowind is not a bad-looking game, but I mean, they're going for different things. I won't say it. Kingdom Hearts 1 just looks really good for what it's trying to do, and Morrowind looks fine for what it's trying to do, visually speaking. What you say about stats versus skills is interesting. I must have been really terrible at the game, because anytime I tried to get involved in boss fights, I would get killed all the time. I just let Donald and Goofy take care of everything while I stayed as far away as possible. what I like to say to people like this is you got to realize that I write from my perspective. And so when I write videos, I'm writing from the perspective, especially Kingdom Hearts videos, I'm writing from the perspective of someone who has a lot of experience and someone who knows all the bosses, basically. Especially when it comes to Kingdom Hearts 1. It is by far the easiest game in the series. Well, actually, well, yeah. Let me slightly clarify that. It is the easiest game. It is the easiest game in the series on its hardest difficulty compared to the other games at their hardest difficulty. Right? Does that make sense? So for Kingdom Hearts 1, you're playing it on Proud mode. It is easier than Kingdom Hearts 2 at crit or Kingdom Hearts 3 on crit by a pretty significant margin. I would even go as far as to say. Now you play Kingdom Hearts 1 at level 1, that's a bit of a different thing. But I'll just put this in other. Regarding difficulty, I think it's because it's a kid's game and being able to avoid challenge by grinding a couple levels and swapping gear around is a good way to have some challenge, but also allow a parent to help out the kid without needing to play the game for them. The super bosses are the only hard parts, really. Yes, I agree. Sitting back and spamming magic is totally valid. Yeah, sure. Go for it. That's the thing about RPGs, is that they are built on choices, and if you want to make that choice, that is, as long as you're having fun, that's the right way to play. Morrowind and KH1 both have good and consistent art styles. Morrowind, however, had that typical old game of too few polygon issues. Yeah, basically. Which I'm not necessarily against that. I'm literally about to do a video on The Longest Journey, which was a adventure game made in 1998. So I'm not necessarily against that. Okay, back to this comment. Difficulty. Kids game, being able to avoid challenge by grinding a couple levels. Yeah, I mean, totally. And the thing about this is that, again, Nomura has stated that these games are not made explicitly for kids. Whether or not you believe him, I guess, is one thing. But he has said that. So, anyway, I don't necessarily disagree with this, though. That's not really a criticism. I'll put it there. Should future Kingdom Hearts games have the dawn, midday, or dusk leveling? I don't know why they got rid of it. I like it. I think it's a great addition. On top of having like some very interesting, like strategic elements of, do you want to have a harder time in the beginning so that you can level up all the way to max faster? I think that's a cool decision to make. Would you say that's because of the DS1 effect, where everything is slower and more stay focused? Yes, yeah, everything is slower. That's the thing. Yeah, so if you go from Demon Souls to Dark Souls 2, and then you hit like Bloodborne and Elden Ring, you'll see that boss patterns and stuff just speed up a lot. And that's exactly why Kingdom Hearts 1 is the easiest, is because it's the slowest. It allows you for a lot more time. And not to say that it's like a huge margin of difference, but yeah, I think that is exactly why. I recall the mod I mentioned that either it's outside of the website or it has only for the PS2 version. That's a shame. I wonder if anybody made it for Kingdom Hearts 3. I recently went through TLJ not too long ago. I'm surprised anyone said that. I don't know how like popular that game is. I know that a lot of people think it's like a cult classic or something, but we'll see. Yeah, I'm expecting it to be one of those videos that like nobody really knows what I'm talking about. So I think Salt Factory put it well when he said that there's something about old graphics that causes your brain to fill in the gaps, making it look better than it really is. I basically agree with that. I think that there's something really, it's nostalgia. I mean, there's something really interesting and nostalgic about super polygonal and like pre-drawn backgrounds. It's cool. Being less vague of dawn, midday, and dusk would be nice. I agree. A strong visual identity is always better than bland, massive-sized HD visuals. I highly, highly, highly agree. Anyway, this is a praise. Thank you. It occurred to me that... Oh, this is... delete that. Here we go. It occurred to me that it's kind of odd that Riku Ansem fights like Riku, and that Riku uses many of the unique moves used there later in the series. You're not fighting Riku in that fight, you're fighting Ansem. You're fighting Xehanort. He should have his own unique way of swinging the Keyblade around. Though Riku later uses the unique moves from that boss fight, Dark Faraga, Dark Break, and Dark Aura, does play into the theme of him claiming control over the darkness and using it for good. That's an interesting thought, that he should have had his own sort of like unique moveset at that time. And I agree. Put another. I don't think I've seen anyone as critical of Kingdom Hearts 1's story as you are, and I'm thankful for that. Personally, I think Kingdom Hearts 1 is the best written story, but even then it's only adequate at best for a video game. Not good, but does enough of a job to keep most interested in the narrative of the game. I basically agree with this. Other. Man, if I keep putting stuff in other, I'm not really gonna have any data, am I? Man, I was watching Patrician's Metal Gear Solid Survive video you were on, thinking to myself, yeah, this is cool, but I want to watch Kingdom Hearts retrospective. But I like this dude Patrician has on his video, so I'll go sub to him. Search your name and Kingdom Hearts 1 retrospective uploaded 1 day ago. What a treat. Yeah, that's cool. I like it. I have this game concept inspired by KH that I've worked on for years, and there I've made it so that magic option on the command menu doesn't even exist. It's just the shortcut menu. You decide what 4 spells you want to use beforehand based on your playstyle. Triangle acts as the shortcut, essentially. Whatever spell you place on triangle will always be a button press away without having to hold L2. Spell variety veers in the direction of BBS and DDD, but you're limited to 4 spells. Wide options plus restricted slots promotes developing your own preferences. I'm gonna read the rest. I would like to say that this idea, I think, would have the same problem that I have with BBS's command deck, which is it highly incentivizes prep time over action, right? And actually de-incentivizes interesting second-to-second gameplay, I think. Excuse me. And so if you're okay with that, I think that's fine. Obviously, Birth by Sleep did it, and a lot of people liked it. I just think you need to be aware that the fewer your options in combat, the more your options are going to be, like in this style, are going to be in prep work. What that also means is that you could end up in situations, depending on how you design the spells, it could be that you design them fine, but depending on how you design the spells, you could find yourself in situations where, you know, fodder enemies aren't handled in the same way that bosses are, and so you actually get a little bit punished. There's a little bit of friction for the player if they enter into a boss without knowing that it's coming and they don't have their boss deck equipped, basically. That's a pretty big problem I have with Birth by Sleep system, and it kind of sounds like this could fall into that as well, but I'm gonna keep reading. Items take on a whole new level of importance, as relying on Cure robs you of an offensive spell. If you can make good use of the riskier option that is potions instead, then your attack options increase as a reward. I like that, that's cool. If you're good enough to just not get hit, then I've also provided a whole category of consumable items that do more than just refill your bars. 20-second long boost to your movement or attack speed, either as separate items or combined together with higher tier ones. That's really neat. There's even whole attacks that you can just repeatedly use that are treated as items to put in your item slots, repeating the interplay of cure or potions with a whole new tier of risk, potions, or attacks. So kind of borrowing from Days with that as well. The influence items have on your gameplay changes based on your skill level. Relying on cure is the most restrictive, and the further you're able to move away from that playstyle, the more fun the game becomes. That sounds pretty interesting. I think that it's got some challenges, but I like it. Cryjackal, if you ever watch this, keep me posted on how that project goes. Come to think of it, is Ansem's fighting style similar to Xehanort's? Let me think for a second. I mean, no. I would say no, simply because Ansem, Secret of Darkness, and Xehanort, thinking about like Kingdom Hearts 3 Xehanort or Birth by Sleep Xehanort, don't fight. I don't really see much similarity, personally. Old Man Xehanort's big sweeping magic kinda matches up, maybe. Counterpoint, the concept would work wonderfully in a dungeon crawler or roguelike where prep time is a large part of the experience. I agree, and there are some genres that appreciate a lot of prep time. I personally struggle with it in a game like Kingdom Hearts. So it all depends on how you structure it, right? It's an interesting concept though. I like there are a lot of cool ideas here that I like. Fantastic video. I've only played Kingdom Hearts for about 15 minutes, but I love the video from start to finish. Thank you. The music is what brought me to this series. I never really cared much for the childish story with the Disney characters, but I dove into the darkness. The whole overarching story is quite intrigued. It's quite intriguing. I agree. Not the Toontown music at 5720. Man of culture. Thanks. This is probably the most in-depth video of the game that I've seen. Thanks for focusing on so much of the gameplay, as there were things that I had no idea of. Good work. Gameplay discussion of 3844. Thanks. Really interesting retrospective on Kingdom Hearts 1. Looking forward to the next one. Thank you. Simba, Mushu, and Bambi are all really good summons, but I don't know why you think otherwise. I also find that the way the jump works quite intuitive, because how long you press the button determines how high and how long you're in the air, much like Hollow Knight and some other games. Yeah, so speaking to the summons, I actually said this earlier, this is probably something I'll bring up in the video, but I don't think that I did a very good job of talking about summons in the first game, and that's because they're really just not a part of my playstyle. I think that's nothing wrong with that, but I probably should have just said that instead of saying that they're not very useful. I don't remember exactly what I said. It was something like that. As for the jump, yeah, if you like it, that's fine. I think it feels awful. It's just the springiness of it, as well as how long Sora hangs in the air before he drops down. In order to get the maximum height that you need to make most of the jumps in the game, it's this super long hang in time in the air that just doesn't feel right to me. Criticism. You're not at all imagining things about Dearly Beloved. I have no history with the series at all, but I feel exactly what you described. I think Halo is the only other game series to have as an iconic theme that's used so meaningfully throughout the whole series. Something to be proud of and cherish, to be sure. Yeah. Praise. I lost my audio. Give me 1 second. Oh, sorry. Turned on the... My bad. That was probably annoying. Okay, moving on. I think you could make a deck build systems occasionally work if you allow swapping mid-battle like in Nier Automata. Might incentivize optimizing the fun out of a game, though. Something like having... Thinking of like... Kingdom Hearts 3's Keyblade system, where you can switch in between combat, except tying your quick selects to those keyblades could be an interesting thought. You yeah, being able to switch in combat is not a bad way to solve that problem. However, I do, I don't know. To me, it kind of feels like limiting the options the player has from a second to second basis is not going to be worth it, at least not in this gameplay style. But I'm not against the concept necessarily. In the beginning in Traverse Town, you don't actually need to kill any shadows. This is true. I actually looked this up. It's true. I was going to respond and be like, no, you're dumb. But this is true. You don't have to kill the shadows. You just have to walk around a little bit. I was surprised to learn this because I thought I looked this up in the writing process. And yeah. So what happens here is that this is a long-standing sort of myth, I guess, from when I was a kid. And I didn't properly research it before writing the video, and that's part of why writing a video on a game that you know so well as a kid can be a little dangerous sometimes. Double check your work. That's all I have to say on that. We're gonna put this in criticism because it's a correction. Absolutely incredible video. I'm really fascinated. This one and Ocarina of Time have had a lasting impact on me as a quintessential coming of age stories. Kairi crying in the credits and drawing the Paopu fruit really hit the spot for me. It's a good story about learning of the world of corruption through people in power and ambitions, friends, love, and finding your role in life. Sora, Riku, and Kairi started together and ended up separate, changed, but ready to find each other again. I always found it wonderful, and I really connected with Sora, actually all three when I was 13. What's especially interesting to me is, oh, I didn't expand this one. Oh, I know. That says show less, not show more. What's especially interesting to me is how every following game found new ways to completely destroy the strong emotional core of this one. Yeah, I agree. It is, at the same time though, I do kind of wonder if this strong emotional core, and this isn't a dig at you, Experience Design Lab, but I do wonder if this strong emotional core can't be written in a different way, which is to say nostalgia. I don't know. Because maybe people that started with Kingdom Hearts 2 feel differently. But I think that, personally, there is something special about Kingdom Hearts 1. Other. I'm at the part around 4730 where you were talking about a fix for the multiple inputs needed to reach certain spells from the command menu. The fix you mentioned uses the circle button. I think that the devs purposely left that circle out as a means of allowing player to jump before casting. Your solution wouldn't technically remove that option, but it would definitely make it more technically challenging, as you would have to jump, then press and hold L2, then cast. Almost like a Street Fighter combo. Honestly, maybe it could even be fun. What I would say to this is, that's what Kingdom Hearts 2 did. They made circle a bindable option. And so that's what they expect you to do, basically. And I think it was fine in that game. But I also believe if they were set up with shortcuts to allow for all spells to be cast on a whim, that would take away from the strategy of the gameplay. I personally believe that, although frustrating to new players, the command menu introduces a unique way of introducing skill to the game beyond learning and understanding enemy attack patterns. I agree with this, and I think they made the right call of keeping the quick spell slots to a minimum, so players wouldn't be frustrated about not pulling off a heal on time. I personally think that even removing quick spells altogether wouldn't be that detrimental, maybe allowing the system to be unlocked via abilities like dodge roll and stuff. This could even give healing items a little more usefulness since it's a simpler input to perform quickly than cure. That was a tongue twister. Anyways, rant over, liking the video. Also, making the lock-on mechanics devoted to the bumpers would mean you can't change your lock-on while having your quick spell triggered. Not a big deal, but I think, but taking small options like that, yeah. Okay, so for this, making it an ability, I think it would just become a default inclusion in everyone's moveset, like dodge roll. It's not necessarily it's not like an awful idea or anything. I just think that dodge roll and guard are default abilities that everyone equips, and so it almost kind of feels like they shouldn't be abilities at all. They should just be standard parts of your kit, right? But yeah, the thing about my theorized sort of like control scheme in the Kingdom Hearts 1 video is that I was sort of just trying to see if I could come up with something that would allow for single button presses that would work on the number of buttons a PS2 controller has, and I think for the most part I succeeded in that. But also, yeah, it would just appeal to a different set of people, and I get some other criticism for that somewhere else. Can't wait for part 2 of Chain of Memories like this analysis. Thank you. Comment to help with the algorithm gods. Thank you. If I'm not mistaken, if you pop into Germany's journal, it tells you what you need to do next, like your current objective. This is technically true. However, it is not very clear in Kingdom Hearts 1 specifically. It is actually very vague in Kingdom Hearts 1. It's much more clear in Kingdom Hearts 2. I'll put it in criticism though. Great analysis of all aspects of the game. I resonate with your message about the title music. Hope you are successful. Thank you. As a kid, I remembered using Olympia to fight Riku 2 and never had memories of him being tough. When I got to the collection, however, I backtracked after Riku 1 and got to the Lady Luck Keyblade, and that switch alone made Riku 2 so much harder than given Lady Luck was a pretty low recoil stat. Recoil as a stat, I think it's a shame that they didn't play with that more. They kind of got rid of it after Kingdom Hearts 1, I think. I don't think that they have recoil after that point. And that's a shame. I think it's cool. And it gives different Keyblades like actually unique uses. Now they actually literally gave different Keyblades unique uses once they rolled around to Kingdom Hearts 3, where each Keyblade has their own like form changes and combos and stuff like that. And that's really good, I think. But I thought that recoil was a great middle ground, where each Keyblade does to a certain small little extent feel different, as well as reach. Like reach is still a thing in Kingdom Hearts 2, but it feels less impactful. In Kingdom Hearts 1, it actually mattered a lot how much reach your Keyblade had. At least it felt like it did. That's an other. Your channel is relatively small. Video's top notch. Thank you. Great video as always. Thank you. YouTube legit never showed me that these videos were even out until I saw the most recent one pop up in my feed just now. Glad to have several hours of good stuff to dive into. Thank you. Amazing retrospective. Thank you. I feel some catharsis with you tearing apart Sephiroth's fight like that because it just shows how truly BS's fight is. Yeah, I like that. I like that part. Stuff like that scares me. Because it truly goes into sort of more like objectivity, you know, speaking like, did I actually count all the frames right? Did I consider all of my options? And there's some criticism for that section in here somewhere, but overall I think that it's a neat little part that does a lot to sort of enlighten to the issues that boss has. And oh my gosh, super bosses have come such a long way since Sephiroth, and since Pac-Man. I guess that's a Bryce. Sora essentially Mega Man'd himself to monotony. I'm not really sure what that means. Disney did this countless times, merging franchises. Kingdom Hearts was just the first time they did it with video games, outside of the occasional cameo. Before this, there was Who Framed Roger Rabbit and Wrath of the Chaos God. That is true. This was not the first time. I think that he's referring to me saying that Mickey specifically being rendered in 3D. That this was the first time that happened. That's not true. That's actually something I need to correct. Yeah, Mickey was rendered in 3D a few times before this. What the interview actually said was that there was no style guide, which I believe is accurate, probably. That transition was clean. Is it worth looking into? Let's see. 1:13:06. Oh, I remember this one. Yeah, let's watch it. It's see my cool transitions.
Roles have become extremely commonplace. Next, we have support abilities. The most
Oh yeah,
consistently
that is a good
powerful-
transition. I forgot about that one. That is a good transition. Oh man, I actually forgot that I did that. That was cool. Okay. I actually used Shooting Star for almost all game because I really liked its form shift and the upgrades kept it reasonably close to newer ones. Oh, and Ever After. Yeah, Kingdom Hearts 3's got a really good Keyblade system. I am excited to explore it. Thank you for the praise. When you were talking about the menu system in combat, it reminds me that ever since I was switched to keyboard and mouse, I can use the scroll wheel for the menus while still moving. I've never played Kingdom Hearts with a keyboard and mouse. I can't say that the thought entices me. Other. Wow, I'm glad I found this video in my sidebar. Incredibly well made. I've got the other Kingdom Hearts video queued up now. Excellent, thank you. Hello, dude. Dude also got snowed in today. Wow, very good retrospective. Wasn't expecting such high quality from such a small channel. Hope you keep up the good work. Hopefully, like most retrospective channels, you will hit that expansion point and get some growth going. Thank you. You're not nostalgic. I played my first Kingdom Hearts game at 16 or 17, and even then, Dearly Beloved made me feel like the series had been in my life forever. Yeah, that is the power of that song. It's really good. That wasn't really a praise. I'll recategorize that one later. It's definitely nostalgic to watch this. I never ended up playing Kingdom Hearts 2 or any other mini games that came after Kingdom Hearts. I forgot all about that scene where Goofy backs Sora up like that. That's why he's the MVP. Too bad he dies in 2. Menu might be better with keyboard and mouse, but the rest would feel awkward to play. Yeah, I agree. Maybe I'll try it sometime. I don't remember Kingdom Hearts a topic for next time, but I look forward to hearing about it. I think that's a reference to my last, it's a joke about the last thing I said in that video. This was a good analysis. Can't wait for you to hear your thoughts on Critical Mode in Kingdom Hearts 2. Thank you. As someone who much prefers keyboard and mouse, Kingdom Hearts is a series where I actually do prefer controller. Yeah. Again, I just can't imagine. I can't imagine playing it with keyboard and mouse. It wasn't designed for it, for sure, but who knows. I have to say, I've been playing this series since it first came out in 2002. Only during this retrospective did it dawn on me that you fight a shadow version of yourself in Netherland because that's an homage to Peter Pan's shadow coming to life. Very true. That intro to this vid is awesome. Keep this comment in mind. This is truly fantastic analysis. Thank you. That was a praise. I'll recategorize that later. This is truly fantastic. I think you capture some points here that I have never seen other reviewer even considered. I can't wait to watch the rest of your videos. Thank you. Probably the best video in Kingdom Hearts 1 on YouTube. After listening to Private talk about rewatching this video, I decided to do it too, and it's so disappointing seeing the view count be so low. It'll blow up soon enough, I'm sure, but it's still frustrating seeing such good content being seemingly thrown by the wayside. Appreciate it. I also don't find anything wrong with the Platinum match. It's hard to be hard. It's hard to be hard, and that's why I love it. Run from his pillars before he uses them and you'll be fine. He hits you without warning, better have Eroga on and Curaga on the ready for use. The abilities in the game are meant to help you with it. I don't think it's bad design if it's meant to be unforgiving. Plus, his match is child's play compared to the data battles. Those are nuts. See, the reason why I think the data battles mostly work, with the exception of a few of them, is because, and Sephiroth doesn't, is because the data battles are unforgiving, but still fair. Sephiroth's, and I'm under the impression that a lot of my issues with Sephiroth in that video, and some people in the comments said this, a lot of my issues with Sephiroth in that video come from the fact that I'm playing on the HD remix, which is the final mix version. He was retooled a little bit to be a lot harder, but the changes that they made actually made him really unfair. At least in my opinion. And that's how I feel about it. The classic no bro, it's supposed to be unfair, that's what makes it good. Yeah, there is a difference between unforgiving and unfair. I think that is a large part of this. I'll put it in criticism. The summer of 6th grade truly was a life-altering experience. Let me, can't even describe how dearly beloved made me feel. Friends of my power. Too bad the gameplay is pretty crappy, but Roxas is my favorite character. And thank you, Kingdom Hearts. You're one of my dearly beloved pastimes. This is mostly just praise for the series. Thank you for the comment, though. Goofy, you okay there, buddy? I think I know what he's referring to. Let's double check it. This is a pretty funny little bit that I didn't even realize was in there. I didn't realize that I had put this in. Sometimes stuff like that happens in editing. You just don't catch everything. Yeah, I know what he's referring to.
The Heartless directly as culprits. This trial involves collecting evidence of Heartless
Yeah,
presence
right
in
there.
the area. 4 pieces of evidence sit waiting to be grabbed in the world.
What's he doing? Poor Donald. He didn't deserve that. KH2 Sephi was way more fun. I highly agree. Other joke comment. What I find fascinating about Ultima Weapon is that it's always specifically the strongest balanced keychain in any given entry, but can still be outclassed in specific areas by other keychains at the cost of being less effective than everything else. That's true. And I also like this fact. Other. Absolutely enjoying the content. Keep up the great work. Thank you. I'm pretty sure the journal updates with context clues. Yeah, so we talked about this earlier. Journal updates. This person's slightly incorrect. Because Kingdom Hearts 2 is the one that actually updates with like blurbs, like clear blurbs. Kingdom Hearts 1 has the story so far section that I'm pretty sure updates with pseudo clues to where you're supposed to be going next, but I'll put this in criticism. Level 1 speedrunner. Okay, so this is an interesting comment. There's a lot of breakdown here. Certified what the dog doing? Yep. Thanks, dude, for joining. Appreciate it. My recommendation for Kingdom Hearts analysis is 2C Phoenix. He does a breakdown of every Kingdom Hearts 1 levels. His latest video on YouTube is Deep Jungle. I've seen him popping up in my recommended, and yeah, I haven't watched it yet, but maybe I will. So this person corrects a few of the things that I said about EXP0, damage scaling, stuff like that. And there's a lot of this sort of stuff throughout this series, I think, where obviously people that are like experts in the topic will correct me on small things like this. Yeah, it's just a small couple corrections. I'll put it in criticism because it's technically a correction. Thanks for doing this. These things really help me get through these work days. Long form essays on the site, but most of them aren't worth a darn. I can already tell this is a great channel. Thank you. Loving these long form reviews. Keep it up. Thank you. Figured I'd leave a comment. Thank you. Melody Memories rendition of Dearly Beloved is my new favorite version. It's good. I want to play that game. Maybe someday. I'm not going to lie, the way Heartless are described in this game sounds exactly like Darklings, which is funny, as the Heartless proceed to act completely differently in future compared to how we think they are now. Darklings. I'm not really sure what series they're referring to with this. I don't agree with all your points in this, but I'm extremely happy that this game finally has a video that actually does it justice. Excited to hear your opinions on the later entries as this series just falls apart and loses what it had. Though most fans like them, just from the title of your series, I have a feeling on where you think the game's ultimately headed. Personally, I'm only a fan on 1, Com, and 2, and just pretended it ended there. Yeah, you might think that. And when I wrote this series, or wrote the title of this series, I thought that. It might end up being different than your expectations, though. I would say mixed, because I don't always agree with everything. I hope you mentioned the rooms that you were in 234.05 through 234.13. in your video about Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep. 234.05. I wonder what they're talking about. 234.05. Okay. Actually, I'm gonna pull this up. YouTube page. Here we go.
You can do that as many times as you like, but they will still
So
not
these
respawn
rooms?
until you've moved to room.
Well, clearly I didn't mention them. And to be honest, I really don't even know what there is to mention.
Rooms away. It's possible that saving and going back to the title screen resets the
Maybe I'm missing something. I'm sure that knowing what this person meant by this would completely change my opinion of Birth by Sleep, and it was foolish for me to not realize it. Thanks for the comment. Darklings are from D&D. Okay, sure. I only noticed recently you dropped the series subtitle. I dropped the series subtitle because the titles got too long, mostly. That was really it. They're still a part of the playlist, and I don't really talk about it much. I will bring it back up in the Kingdom Hearts 3 video, though. There wasn't really a strong motivation to do that, though. It just kind of came up naturally as the series continued. And I think a lot of people didn't really know, you know... There's actually a comment in here about this somewhere, which I found very funny. Here it is. There isn't anything to mention besides the fact that they're basically the first 3 worlds you go to in Birth by Sleep. Okay. That's interesting. Let me go ahead and put this in other, and we'll scroll back up here. Do you plan on adding Kingdom Hearts 3 to your retrospective list ever? I would love to hear a deep analysis on the game from you, since I really adore your opinion on the subject. I also believe that you should have a much higher view count and subscriber count on your channel. Thanks. It's coming soon. When I wrote this, I had not put out DDD, and now we are here. So that's what we're working on now, basically. Thanks for the content. Very fun to listen back and look on. Kingdom has risen. You said that you've never heard of telling your party members to attack being used. Well, I'm here to say that I've used it, and to great success. When I was young and far less skilled, I went more than a couple boss fights that at the time were just too difficult for me to do without getting as significantly stronger first, but I found a way around that. Using level geometry, I was able to avoid most attacks that Clayton and Dragon Form Maleficent could use on me, allowing me to use Donald and Goofy to chip away at their health until I felt comfortable in running out to deal the final blows. Cheap way to win a fight, but I was 11, and loading a save meant going back and still being stuck in the world until I got a high enough level that you could pretty much tank your way through. Yeah. I kind of want to sometime go back and play through... I think I've heard of people doing this. I want to go back and play through Kingdom Hearts 1, party member only. And by that I mean like giving them all of the best equipment, giving them all of the stat boosts, and try not to swing the Keyblade for any reason if you can avoid it. I think it might be an interesting way to play the game. Or not interesting, but funny at the very least. Other. I'm surprised that Kingdom Hearts 3 didn't get a final mix like 1 and 2. Remind is basically the final mix, and the reason why that is because when 1 and 2 came out, there was no such thing as DLC, basically. And now that there is, there's no need to repackage the game in a final mix format. So really great work here. I followed the series also for over a decade and appreciate the hard work. Kairi is the girl in the secret ending back then. Now it's going to get retconned into someone else. Kairi is the girl in the secret. I can't even remember how the secret ending goes in this one. I'll put it in praise though. That Sephiroth bit was very fascinating. I agree. Other. If my brother ever happens to watch this, I still haven't forgotten when you needed me to beat Cerberus for you. That is a relatable comment as a little brother. Other. One thing I love about Ice Titan is how he turns Arrow against you. If you're like me and spam Arrow in every encounter, you soon realize his attacks are bigger and harder to block. True. Little correction on the Sephiroth fight, actually, compared to the original version, that the actually is. So I talked about this earlier. I'm gonna put this in criticism, and it's correct criticism. And I think I knew that at the time, and I think maybe I didn't mention it. Maybe that's the problem. I might not have mentioned it, but I think I knew at the time that he was retuned for the final mix version. Maybe I even said it. I'm not sure. Dearly Beloved is such a good song. I got KH2 as a gift. As soon as I heard Dearly Beloved and saw that immaculate title screen, I changed my mind instantly. Yeah. Good stuff. That's not praise. That's other, but whatever. The L1 menu isn't limited to spells. You can also assign items, so if necessary, you can quickly pop an ether or elixir during hectic boss fights. I responded to this. That's not true. Not in Kingdom Hearts 1. Kingdom Hearts 2, yes. Fantastic video. Thanks. This is pretty much exactly what I searched for. Thanks. Don't you have to deal the final blow to bosses? So that run would at minimum be however many bosses and phases of said bosses. No, not in Kingdom Hearts 1. Kingdom Hearts 2, yes. But in Kingdom Hearts 1, your party members can deal the final blow for you. Should future Kingdom Hearts games have the Trinity system? If it was on 2, you could at least change teammates and you didn't have to backtrack to the save point like in 1. The Trinity system is fine. I like it. Yeah, I mean, I'm not super passionate about it though. I think you did mention that. Yeah, I think I probably did. Tetra, do you have thoughts on the Split Fiction announcement from Hazelight? I want to play it. Looks like fun. I also want to play the new game by the devs of Overcooked. They're like the same game, basically. And I am always chomping at the bit for more, co-op first experiences. There aren't very many of those. So I will give both of them a try. I might make a video on them. We'll see. Maybe it'll be another like co-op video. The It Takes Two video did not do very good. I don't know if that's because of the game or the content within the video, but it didn't perform very well. Not that that's that big of an issue. I'll still do a video. I'll do a video whether I think it's going to perform well or not. Like I said, I'm about to do a video on The Longest Journey, but just an interesting tidbit. I remember when I first played it, I misunderstood the keychains and just thought they were key items, so I made all the way to the second Riku fight in Hollow Bastion with the Kingdom key equipped. I also love FromSoft games now, so, pretty on trend for me. Yeah. That's a funny anecdote. I like it. Combo pluses do exist, but there are plenty of options for you to limit the amount of combos you use and actually do more damage in a smaller amount of hits. That's one of the things that you do for Sephiroth to win. This is a good point. I still kind of think that the revenge value system does a better job of balancing between, because basically if you equip combo pluses for Sephiroth, you are objectively neutering yourself, right? That's not necessarily the case with the revenge value system. You can get around it, and you can sort of fight around that fact. I'll put it in criticism. Title going to be Split Fiction and why you're still single since my Take-Two video. Why you're... yeah. That's the one that was actually dangerously based. It Takes Two vid. I mean, thanks. Yeah, dangerous, I think, is the whole point of that video. I am surprised, because I mean, that's the one where I sort of outed myself as a Christian and we talked about like Christian marriage values and stuff like that, and I am surprised at how few people took offense. I was expecting more. I got way less. Again, I think that it comes down to it can be easy to think on YouTube that the primary voice is the negative one, but that's not true. Most comments on YouTube are positive, and that goes for my video and most videos that I look at that aren't Conquered related, I guess. The thing about Mickey not being in 3D is wrong. Yeah, we already talked about this. Yes, I misquoted the interview, basically. In criticism, that is correct. I love this game so much, thanks for the content. You're welcome. Seeing how you describe Sephi, waiting for you to take on mysterious figure in BBS, it's already out. I was his... this was a fantastic video. I've been a fan of Kingdom Hearts since I was a kid. I found this through Patrician TV's podcast, and I can't wait for your con video. Thanks. I'm cursed with being a hardcore Toontown Online fan, and Mickey was rendered in 3D in the 2001 beta build of the game. I guess they were both trying to figure out that in tandem though, so this correction wasn't necessary. I'm still gonna put it in criticism, because you're not wrong. My experience has been that nobody outside of Twitter actually cares. Yeah, I agree. Let's see, we got Time Travel, Pocket Universes, Pocket Multiverses, Parallel Multiverses, Divination, Possession, and A Dance with Death, with the tinkering of heart, body, and soul off the top of my head. Time Travel, Pocket Universes, Pocket Multiverses, Parallel Multiverses. I'm not really sure where you're getting these two. I would need like specific examples, I guess. Kindness to aid friends, a shield to repel all. I never realized the other weapons were different, as I never picked one. Yeah, if you always do the sword, then you'll always have the sword. Great vid, thanks. Overstated. 519, overstated. Let's see what they're talking about. 519, right at the start. Right at the start. Oh, that might have been when I said that it's like one of the most influential games of all time or something. I did say that, right?
But the influence Kingdom Hearts has had on the JRPG genre and video games as a whole probably can't be understated. And yet, it's still kind of...
Oh, no, they're just... probably can't be understated. Can't be overstated. No, yeah, they're right. That word was incorrect. That word should have been overstated. You may be referring to the Dreaming Worlds. Yeah, it's probably something like that. Things get crazy in Union Cross. I'll put this in criticism. I do appreciate that you use the speedrunner's input to point out okay, this is an interesting comment. Point out inconsistencies in the Sephiroth fight, but I also want to point out that speedrunners are not always the best gauge, especially on the I might get lucky front. Speedrunners are used to dealing with things as fast as possible. They want to take the shortest route between the start and end of a fight. That means a non-deterministic fight. The decisions they're making aren't necessarily to avoid damage, they're to set themselves up for the best possible scenario to deal damage quickly. They go for speed, not consistency, and that would rather scrap a run than do suboptimally at a certain point. That means there are probably few of those situations where there is a safer way to play, and the runner is just not taking it because doing so would be slow. He's referring specifically to how I used Biscuit 047's strat on Sephi against the boss and used it as examples of how the boss kind of fails. And when I read this, I thought this was a really good point. There is something to be said about speedrunners not always taking the most optimal route in terms of consistency, but instead aiming to do whatever the fastest thing is, right? And I mean, you can see that you watch any like speed run, like it's always like, oh yeah, this particular speedrun strat only has like a 0.1% chance of ever being successfully done. But they're willing to take that risk because it's more about speed than it is about consistency. And so to use a speedrunner's perspective on Sephi might have been a little fallible, a little criticizable, but I still think that it's a valid way to look at it. But they do have a good point. Counterpoint: waiting for random openings is not fun. I agree. That is the thing. Is that on the other hand of things, maybe the speedrun strat and the optimal strat should be closer together. You know, if the boss was designed better, then the two wouldn't look so different. To me, it seems Sephi is not staggering because he's already in the start of Fire Pillar. Yes, all of his attacks have super armor, so that's I felt the argument was more this dude who plays the game 24/7 even says there's no other way to handle this, which is how I took it. And yeah, that's basically how I meant it. I do still think that they make a good point, but yeah, I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with the way I presented that argument. It is a point of fact that he is a speedrunner first, and so that may color his perception of the options that he has available. That being said, though, I do use his videos for the data fights, and he does use cheap tactics like limits to get out of Book World and Zexian's fight and stuff. So maybe there's a little more gray area here, but this person's asking if Sephi has super armor for all of his attacks, and he does. I think the reason why sometimes he breaks out or sometimes you can stagger him after a sword slash and sometimes you can't is because he's already decided that Fire Pillar is going to happen. And he has super armor during that, and so whatever you do doesn't matter. Which is just awful. Really, really bad. I don't like it. This is an other, I think. Ari doesn't act like she was comatose because that's not what she experienced. She was with Sora the whole time. She went on all those adventures with him. Keep this comment in mind too. We'll get back to this thought later. There's a more thorough investigation of this sort of through line at a different point. Put it in criticism. This sounds like the game was designed around turn-based and made into action a quarter of the way through development. Let's see what they're talking about. 106.17.
Might as well be playing a game with turn-based combat. I take my turn to strike, he takes his turn, I heal when I need it. This is why the stats versus skill thing really is a problem. The stats are so important that even on the highest difficulty this game has to offer, it might as well be a turn-based RPG for all the mechanical skill it is requiring of me. To be clear...
Yeah, I stand by this. I don't necessarily think that this commenter is correct in saying that. I think that it was designed with action from the ground up. But I also think that the game doesn't do a good enough job of challenging you, and that's a pretty big thing with Kingdom Hearts 1 specifically. They just weren't there yet. It's Oh, could you all not hear that? Did I mute? Did I mute?
Not all the bosses are like this.
I don't think I did. It was basically just saying, it was the part where I talked about how, like, sometimes the game feels like a turn-based RPG, or a turn-based RPG rather than an action one. Anyway. Has anyone ever told you that you kind of sound like Patrician TV? I don't know, maybe. This was one of Square's first transitions from Final Fantasy style turn-based to action, wasn't it? No, I heard the video. I don't hear you sound like that. Okay. I'm so technically minded that I assumed that you meant that you couldn't hear the video. I don't think I sound like Patrician TV. Okay, let's see. Yeah, I don't necessarily agree with this comment. But I do think that the game sort of devolves into button mashing more often than not, just out of necessity. I guess it goes in other. 25, the series shouldn't work on me on an emotional level, but it does, and I can't explain why to save my life. Some things you just can't explain. The raft makes some sense, operative word being some, because imagine how rowboating to another continent. I'd rather take a raft where I'd have some semblance of leg room. Crazy that this game is as old as I am. How old am I? Crazy that this game is as old as I am. So that just means that you were born the year that this game came out, which I was not. I don't know. The eels are present in the first Ursula fight to build up your MP gauge if you run out. Since they always resurrect, you will never soft lock yourself in the fight if you deplete your items. I actually like the Ursula fights and the first Oogie Boogie fight, but I agree with you on Jafar. He's annoying to cheese. He's annoying to chase. I responded to this, and I said that the eels, in my experience, the eels in my experience don't give enough MP to make an appreciable difference. Like it takes so long to build up a good amount of MP to actually start casting spells at that point that it basically is just a loss in my eyes. But that could be because of my kidding. Because that's the thing, is that I could have made that fight easier for myself if I had actually kitted myself out for magic, but I didn't, and I never do. So I'll say criticism. Just blasted through this whole, that actually was more of a mixed thing. I could have actually put something there for once. Just blasted through this whole analysis series this last few days, and you were all very engaging watches. I'll be very interested to hear your analysis once we get to the Osaka team titles. Yeah. There are luck-based abilities that you can apply to lower the amount of rooms you have to run through before they respawn. Referring to the special enemies at the end of the game. Doesn't really change anything. I'll put it here as a correction. Looking back, Kingdom Hearts seems so cringe, but then you see Clayton loading his elephant gun while straddling a giant invisible monster, and it goes so hard I'm back on board. I actually agree, and we will talk about cringe culture later. Really good video as usual. Are there any tips you would give to aspiring creators like myself for writing, planning, argument? I responded to this person and I gave a big long-winded thing. Just as a note, if you are someone that wants to get my thoughts on this, which I don't really, I'll just say it. If you're someone that wants to get my thoughts on this, just hit me up on Discord. That's usually, I get a few people on there every now and again, sort of talking to me on there, and had some good conversations. It's a good place to do this sort of thing. Better than YouTube comments, that's for sure. Praise. I don't think it's fair to say Sora completely forgot about saving them. I just think that he put it in the back of his mind. This person's referring to where I said that basically from Riku's perspective, it looks like Sora forgot about saving his friends entirely. And I think this was just a slight miscommunication, but criticism. Recoded is the best handheld game in the series and has the best use of the command deck. I fully 100% agree. Oddly enough, though, I could clear Kingdom Hearts 1 even though I didn't know a lot of English back then. Other people like me would be stuck on Destiny Island or the other levels with low-level English comprehension. That's cool. I've heard a lot of people that learn English by playing video games, and I would really like to learn Japanese by playing video games, but when I have enough time to do so. Oh yeah, I should probably get on that video editing grind now that I have a stable job with free time. Do it. I like it. It's fun. If you want to be a successful creator, then you need to get in good with the VTubers. There's so much drama. You are guaranteed to get free exposure, especially if you're in the right. I should try that. I recently found a comment from myself from years ago finding KH cringy, which I have zero recollection of. Feels like I must have transformed into another person since I've surpassed cringe. Yeah, we'll talk about cringe culture more later. I have thoughts on it. You can kill shadows with the wooden sword before getting the Keyblade. They just take a billion hits because without the Keyblade's buff, Sora's attack stat is basically 0. Also, they probably gave these shadows extra HP just to make the Keyblade seem more impressive. I think this person was hallucinating this. Again, stuff like, you know, playing as a kid. You think you did something and it's just not true. I actually booted the game back up again. This was 5 months ago. I booted the game back up again just to make sure that the wooden sword passes through the Heartless completely with no effect. There's no way that you can kill a Heartless with the wooden sword at the beginning of the game. You can later, but not at the beginning. Criticism though. I know Kingdom Hearts 2 does, but does Kingdom Hearts 1's journal not have a little blurb saying what to do next? I honestly forgot to mention in the video. Yeah, we talked about this earlier. Criticism. What is Goofy doing in Donald? We talked about this earlier. That funny little clip. You can avoid the attack by getting very far away from the boss. So positioning is one thing. I believe this is, let me just double check. I believe this is referring to Sephiroth. 213. Oh no, he's referring to to what I called the unavoidable. Let's watch it.
His weak point is this horn on his head, and it's the only way to damage him, so you'll be up here the whole fight. Occasionally, he will slow down and begin to charge a big attack. If you can do enough damage to stun him before the attack goes off, you can stop it from happening. But if you don't, it's not a huge deal because the balls it summons just kind of fall to the ground and lightly track you. After the aforementioned stun phase, he will always use this, to my knowledge, unavoidable attack and then go back into his walking phase. That's the whole boss.
Okay, yeah, so apparently that attack can be avoided just by like running away from him. Fair enough. We'll call it a critique. I think he was thinking of Hollow Bastion Wooden Sword. I don't think he was. Especially since he's sort of responded. I don't know, anyway. Behemoth, yes, that is the name of that boss. Okay, this comment. This is an old video at this point, but I do think that you're kind of missing the mark on some stuff. Let me see if I can sort of truncate. Okay, his first bit is about my interpretation of Triton and Keyblade wielders. Second paragraph, Disney Worlds aren't just there to pad out the gameplay and offer fan service, though of course they do also do both of those things. They also serve to explore character dynamics, setting, and themes. Wonderland may not be very important in what will eventually be known as the Darkseeker Saga, or whatever crap Nomura decided to call this, but it establishes both the world order stuff exists, and also how the main trio will find ways around that in order to help those in need. It also plays into a question that comes up a lot in this franchise, which is what even is a heart? Yeah, I'll just keep reading. The Queen of Hearts' heart was stolen by someone, but she isn't a Heartless, so what was stolen? What do you actually mean when you talk about a heart? And what is it that the Heartless are after? Whatever it is, thanks to Wonderland, we know it's more than just any old depiction of a heart, at least. It's the very next world Tarzan that says friends are a part of your heart, and boy, if that's not an important bit of lore to the whole franchise, then I don't know what is. That bit of world building is probably more important to the story and less retcon than anything Leon in the or the Final Fantasy VII gang says during the whole game. Okay. Yeah, so I responded to this and I said, didn't I praise Deep Jungle for exploring character dynamics and setting up mysteries? Also, the Queen of Hearts' heart wasn't actually stolen. It was only attempted theft, meaning the whole exploration of what does she mean by heart if she isn't a heartless doesn't exactly work. Yeah, I don't really know. I don't really know what happened here. He lumps me in with a lot of people's analyses of Kingdom Hearts 1. I haven't watched a lot of people's analyses. I don't typically watch just a ton of videos on the games that I talk about. So I'm not sure if that's a fair thing to say, but yeah, I don't know. I definitely. I think that this person missed what I was talking about. I don't know. Especially in the second paragraph, I kind of think that was a little off base. But I'll put it in criticism. I'll think about it more. I don't really get the lore gone astray complaint. If you fully engage in things like D&D, you'll feel ever more lost, and there's way more crap you gotta learn to fully understand, and that created the genre. I think lore that takes engagement or some research is just a matter of taste and effort. I never remember finding Kingdom Hearts that convoluted, and I got it on launch as a little kid. Let me go back to the chat for a second. Fun fact, in the manga, the Queen of Hearts falls in love with Luxord. Well, now I have to read the manga. Except MGS 5. I don't know what you mean, Trevor. I don't know if it has been mentioned, but at 121:41 in your Kingdom Hearts 2 video, you said Final Form is unlocked randomly during certain boss fights, but that's not true. Set C2 become 1 Keyblade. Yep, you're right, and there are comments correcting me. And so that will be brought up in the video for sure. Okay, the response this person gave, I think, is basically exactly how I feel. It says Kingdom Hearts on its own is a simple story told simply. That's not a dig. Stories don't need to be convoluted to be fun. Problems arise when they introduce nobodies, retcon established information, have literally a dozen characters who know more but refuse to explain in anything but cryptic one-liners, make multiple characters who are basically clones of each other, add some really dumb Keyblade rules, introduce time travel, introduce different time travel. That is literally what they did. 2 different kinds of time travel. Have more characters actually be other characters, have data replicas, everybody gets a Keyblade, everybody is actually Xehanort, and there are like 5 different people who are just Xehanort at different points in time, and also Xehanort was committing evil for the greater good, and blah blah blah. It's a mess, and worse, it's actually the actual quality of writing takes a nosedive as it goes on. That's basically my thoughts. It's not that it's complicated. I don't care that it gets complicated. What I care about is that it stays consistent, and there's a reason for the convolution, right? A lot of what was said in Dream Drop Distance and Birth by Sleep felt like it was muddying the waters for no good reason. I don't feel that way about Union Cross, because what it did with the story beats that it brought up, I felt like actually justified themselves a little bit more. I'm sitting here, you can't see me, I'm sitting here holding my coffee cup, like I'm a professor sitting in front of like a bookshelf. The way I got Final Form in Kingdom Hearts 2 was going to Olympus to the Cerberus Cup, and spamming Valor until I got it using the 2 become 1. Yep. There's a lot of ways to get Final Form, and we'll talk about that when we get to Kingdom Hearts 2, which at the pace that we're going, well, it's not even quite 4 o'clock. We'll see. We still have 50 more comments to get through in Kingdom Hearts 1. 5 Xehanorts is a bold storytelling decision. I agree. I agree with this person. I don't necessarily agree with this. I'll put it in criticism. The remaster didn't fiddle with brightness. Your parents just had a CRT. I fully intended on testing this and figuring out if I was right. So at the beginning of the Kingdom Hearts 1 video, I said that the brightness was off. And then I sort of darkened the image on the video to show how I remembered it looking. And ultimately, it's possible that I was wrong about that. I still haven't personally checked it. However, Pikachu Frankie here says that that's not true though. The remaster straight did mess with the brightness. I've played OG PS2 version on modern screens and it does look different. Yeah, I would be interested in seeing if it actually does look different. I don't fully know myself. I would have to test it somehow, and I'm not sure how I would. I don't have a PS2. Travel-sized lions. I hope I didn't say anything too cruel. This is an open space for different opinions. I trust that everything will be just fine. You can't insult me. It'll be all right. There are some people that tried and they failed, so it's all good. I mean, there are plenty of comments that I just ignore. Like, you might notice that there are some, like, if you like really like dig into the comments in my videos, every now and again you'll get people that are just like really vitriolic, and for those people, I just leave a heart and move on. Even if they have like interesting points or something, I usually don't engage. It's just a mantra of mine that if you know. But point in saying is that I've got a pretty thick skin when it comes to stuff like this. You'll also see me respond to some people in here in this series of videos, in this series of streams, a little more aggressively than I wish that I had. And so you'd be among good company if you did. Sven says, I remember the brightness for Vanilla 1 being way darker on cutscenes, like the brown hooded guy looks way more menacing in that version than Final Mix. That's how I remember it. But I don't have any evidence. Part of me wants to hook up my PS2 and copy of Kingdom Hearts 1. I'm pretty sure I still have and see if it does look different. Don't have a CRT anymore, but could at least try a modern-ish screen. Yeah, try it on a modern screen and get back to me. Let's see. Okay, what is this even? This is a criticism. If people think Sephiroth without Leaf Bracer back on PS2 is bad, let me tell you something. Imagine Heartless Angel without Sliding Dash. Super Glide. Yeah. I may be misunderstanding something, as I have never actually played Kingdom Hearts, but based on your description, there should be only 6 possible builds, unless you can choose the same one to keep. This is a dumb mistake. And then I listed out the builds. You know, you choose sword, leaf staff, choose sword, leaf shield, blah blah blah. There are actually only 6. I wrote 9. I don't know how I did that. It's such a dumb mistake to make. Please tell me there's more of this format for Kingdom Hearts 2 and 3. There is! You have to do the claw. The claw, to control the menu and movement. It's been too long since I've had to do the claw. I don't do the claw. I don't like the claw. I try to avoid it whenever possible. I don't think it's strictly speaking necessary, although someone in this comment thread says that it is. Hearing you crap on Cerberus and its attack patterns definitely makes me feel bad for how frustrated I was at the boss as a kid. Same. And I responded and said that but Cerberus was a surprising brick wall boss for me as a kid too. Funny how things change perspective over time. Again, I don't write these videos from the perspective of me as a child. If I did, I think they would be way less interesting. Or maybe they'd be more, I don't know. But this is an other, I think. I honestly just want this series to die. I've played every one of the series, and at this point now, it feels more like an obligation rather than a want. I think if you feel that way, then just stop playing them. Nice. It's okay. I'm sure they'll have plenty of time to explore her character in the next 2. See, he's talking about Kairi. This is a joke. Did you go through puberty in that transition? I recorded that clip at 6 in the morning. Here's my secret, people. If you have noticed that my newer videos my voice is much deeper than on my older ones. It's not because I'm significantly like I started doing all these videos after I was already like well past the age of puberty. No, I just record at 6 in the morning now. And it just is what it is. I have a lot of reasons for that. But I think it's okay. I was actually just talking to my wife a little bit about the difference between my old recordings and my newer ones. I think my older ones have more energy, but my newer ones are maybe a little bit more pleasant to listen to. So you take the good with the bad, and there you have it, the facts of life. I've set off some people by responding to them with the light sarcasm like, sorry man, them's the rules. I'm gonna get arthritis from the claw. My hands already hurt and just invoking, my hands already hurt just invoking its name, yep. Kingdom Hearts' writing is always in service of a particular moment, usually the ending, with Nomura retconning his way there. The secret videos are an example of this. Yeah, I agree. There's a lot of examples of things changing in service of new ideas that Nomura has. And maybe that's okay. I don't like it, but it can maybe serve a purpose to someone. I'm torn on the whole idea of wanting a series to die out. I'd get it if the series was never good and the people running it were worse, but saying something that does personally appeal to you should die is just being a dick. Yeah, I agree. My brick wall is not Clayton's stealth sneak. And the last Riku fight. Kingdom Hearts 1 having unskippable cutscenes made that fight with Riku worse for me. I agree, Clayton's stealth sneak is also a pretty common brick wall boss. It is wild to me that they give you Cure after that one, of all ones. They really wanted, I think that maybe the devs didn't realize how hard that boss is. I think they really wanted to make sure that you knew the game pretty well before giving you Cure, which just breaks it in half. But, and then the Riku 4, is it? At the top of Riku 3 or whatever, at the top of Hollow Bastion is the most common sighting of a brick wall. I meant doesn't appeal. Yeah, got it. Yeah, I pretty much agree. Melon Man. Oh, you're a very melon man. Got it. I pretty much agree. It's kind of a weird thing to say, right? Okay. Did you go through puberty? I did not. I love this game. This series just got way too complicated and convoluted. I agree. That's another. It would have made more sense to make Merlin, the fairy godmother, Captain Hook, or Peter Pan to allude to other heroes helping them or defeating them with Captain Hook. Merlin, the fairy godmother, Captain Hook, or Peter Pan to allude to other heroes helping them or defeating them. I'm gonna have to think about that one. I'm not sure. I don't know why on earth I was scared of a Phantom as a kid as well. I even beat Sephiroth. Phantom is kind of scary. Scared me as a kid too. I didn't ever want to go fight him. Are the 7 elements at all related to the 7 princesses? I responded to this. Basically what I said is I don't think so. I can't see a correlation, basically. There are 7 magical elements in Kingdom Hearts 1, and there are 7 princesses, and there could be a correlation, but I don't see one. Sora's mom is on the island as well. This is basically just talking about my criticism or my discussion of Destiny Islands and how kind of ridiculous it is again. I'll put it in criticism. You say Wonderland isn't good because the story doesn't have any impact, which is fair, because Alice is the only important thing but then say it doesn't explore the characters at all, but I don't think that is fair criticism. For many, this is the first time we see how those 3 interact normally and see their dynamic. Sure, nowadays after playing all the games, we know how they are, but when playing this game for the first time after Traverse Town, you won't know their dynamic, and that's what Wonderland demonstrates with them. It's necessary too, because it wouldn't make sense to go to them arguing in Deep Jungle without seeing how they are friends first and foremost and do like each other's company. I disagree with that last sentence. I don't think that it's necessary. I do think that it is fine to jump straight to a story like Deep Jungle because they're coming right off the heels of joining each other in an adventure and there's some butting of heads because of their different personalities. I also don't necessarily know that I agree that Wonderland does explore their characters much. Maybe I would need to go back and watch the cutscenes again, but my basic recollection of it is that it's very event driven, where it's like you go and you do this thing and you go and you do that thing, and there's not really any cutscenes that explore like how the characters are feeling during this time. That's kind of how I feel about that. I'll put it in criticism. Tarzan knowing heal helped out with that fight, very true. Doesn't Tarzan have cure before the Not Clayton fight? He does. I mean, I guess Jasmine would be fire and maybe Cinderella blizzard. But those are loose at best. Yeah, I agree. I don't think that there's much I don't think there's much of a string to tug on there. Finishing on 100% on vanilla Kingdom Hearts 1 wasn't bad, but Final Mix sounds harsh, especially the achievement of clearing the game without changing weapons or accessories. That's hard. That is definitely difficult, and I wouldn't wish it on the faint of heart, that's for sure. I love this video, but feel the gameplay was surprisingly a little underexplored in this. There were a few inaccuracies and missed concepts that aren't even hidden. It's well known the impact that Tinkerbell has in combat, namely boss battles and how she essentially made Sora near invincible. Dolphin Kick was usable outside of Atlantica, and other small things that seem to be interpreted a little inaccurately. But that, I will just chalk up to simple differences for my own interpretation. We had a short conversation. After this, you can see there were 5 replies. And it was me and this person kind of going back and forth. And ultimately, I think that my perspective on this was that I did bring up Tinkerbell. You know. Yeah, the Dolphin Kick thing I did miss, though. I'll put it in criticism. I did miss the Dolphin Kick thing. You can use Dolphin Kick outside of Atlantica. That being said, it does not really affect much, because all the treasure chests that it unlocks can be gotten by Glide, which you pick up not very much long after you get Dolphin Kick. So, that was one of the comments where I think I responded a little more harshly than I should have, but I didn't take a snapshot of it for some reason. So, would have been great if they didn't try to release it on 10 different platforms and retcon everything every time. That might be a bit of an exaggeration. Releasing it on 10 different platforms, I don't think is, though. That's pretty close, and I agree. Screw this boss, that is all, says Salty Shrimp Pasta. Let's see what boss he was talking about. 209. Oh, it's the last Riku fight. Other. Personally, I think the original Dora design would have looked good if we removed the furry aspects. Yeah. See ya, QuezBT. Also, the mechanics of the new Heartless and getting the Ultima weapon taking longer than vanilla. Yeah. Yeah, They changed a lot about the synthesis system in Final Mix without really making it better. They actually kind of made it worse. Furry aspects, sure. I disagree about Triton's objections. He obviously experienced something firsthand, and frankly, he's under no obligation to tell you anything. He doesn't trust Sora. Why would he tell him a story about how that last guy used his legendary weapon to almost destroy Atlantica? Don't give him ideas. Obviously, the later games weren't yet planned, but this was also probably dropped as a plot hook with the idea of introducing a dark counterpart to Sora, since they got greenlit for a sequel. Not Triton's fault Nomura went in the direction that he did. I think Triton, as far as the story analysis goes, I think that Triton gets the most criticism and comments for this video. And it's like, yeah, I get that he doesn't owe you anything, but there's also the fact that Sora doesn't necessarily have to be in that scene. It could be a conversation that he has with Ariel. It could be a conversation that he has with Sebastian. There are a few times where the game sort of breaks off from Sora's perspective, especially in Atlantica. It actually happens quite a bit in Atlantica, to show sort of like what Ursula is doing. And I just think that it would make for a more compelling narrative in a lot of ways, and not just to improve Atlantica's sort of storytelling, but to improve the entire games. So to limit yourself to the fact that he doesn't trust Sora, so why would he tell him a story about somebody, you know, destroying Atlantica? I think it's limiting in a way that the story writers weren't even limiting to themselves. So that's how I feel about that. Did any of the director's producers ever cite any manga as an inspiration for story or aesthetics? Because every time I hear about Heartless, I can't help but think of Hollows from Bleach. I have not seen any references to Bleach in the interviews. But there's also a possibility that if there was any, I wouldn't have written them down, because that doesn't mean anything to me, so... I wish that Once Upon a Time and Kingdom Hearts just crossed over and made a reference. Once Upon a Time, is that the TV show? I think that's the TV show. I watched that a long time ago. Context, I got stuck in Riku 2 my first playthrough. I think I was like 9 or 10 and had to take a full 3-month break before I came back to beat him. Yep. Not counting the re-releases. PlayStation 2, Game Boy, DS, 3DS, Japanese phones, mobile, PS4. Well, we'll say that PS4, Xbox, and Switch is all one thing, right? And so it's basically like 6. There are a few people that criticize the fact that I talk about that element of this series a lot, and I guess we'll talk about that when we get to it. I always despised Kingdom Hearts. The merger of Final Fantasy and Disney stuff alone was always something I couldn't get behind. The very idea made me cringe extremely hard, and I never understood the appeal. I still don't, let alone the burning passion for which some of the crazed fans will shove it down everyone's throat. But I did take time to watch this vid, and to be honest, I had a good time. It's really well made and made me get to know the game from technical and design standpoint, something I'm always interested in. Structure and writing are solid, voiceover is good, although the add-ins that appear in some sections clearly stand out. Yeah, that's kind of just a fact of life. Really professional analysis that made the whole thing interesting. We'll definitely watch the rest of the series. My current recording style avoids punch-ins like the plague, and for a very good reason. Trident also asked Sora in 2 about the meddling stuff. Yeah, I'll be honest, I didn't really think about the story of Atlantica in 2 very much. PSP and Vita. Oh yeah, you missed PSP. So like 7? 7 lights, 7 different console generations. Kingdom Hearts requires the claw technique or you get rolled on anything harder than standard. I don't agree with this, but I do find it funny. I didn't like how overpowered you can get in this game. I don't mind being stronger than the enemies, but at a certain point enemies just pop as soon as you touch them, negating all skill and choice in combat. They should have required all mid-size Heartless to at least take a single combo before dying. I don't necessarily agree. You literally fight a stand. It's the best thing ever. Prove me wrong. Ansem is the user. Owner of a lonely heart is his stand, or Shadow Dude. Prove me wrong. That's a really good name for Ansem's stand. Also a total banger song. Anybody want to take a crack at what this is referring to? Whatever this, I don't know what this is referring to. I'll move on, but somebody tell me what a stand is referring to. Other. JoJo. Okay. Trademark. Yeah, I don't know anime, which is ironic because I'm talking about a Japanese video game, but Most of this was great, but you screwed up your analysis of Kairi. You said she spends most of the game in a comatose state, then acts like it didn't happen when she's awakened. Kairi's heart is Kairi's consciousness. In Kingdom Hearts, the heart is what the soul is usually depicted as in most things. Kairi is fully conscious. That's this person's point in the opening comment. This is true. I can see that you all can't really see the whole thing. Hold on. Let me fix that real fast. That's a big comment. Let's reload this here. Cut. There we go. Oh, now you can see the whole thing. Now my thing about this is that they had another point. Similarly, you act as if the Heartless just eat people's hearts and the people disappear. The person's body disappears, but their hearts turn into new Heartless. It's how the Heartless reproduce. It's eating and sex for them, which is a wild line. That is wild. So I respond. If that was the case, don't you think they would have, had any conversation about it, all of the crazy nonsense Sora went through? Wouldn't that make even less sense for her to just be exactly the same as she was on the island? Which I stand by. I don't think that she has any appreciable difference between the way she acts at the beginning of the game and the end. And since, and we'll get to that in a second. Let me see, I'm skimming the third comment. I don't see anything here I want to bring up. I do want to bring up my last comment, because I think this is kind of important. Okay, so yeah, the fact that Kairi remembers all that stuff is true. Still, I don't personally feel any difference in her in the later game, which is even more strange in that context. We'll probably just have to agree to disagree on that though, because this is getting into some pretty esoteric and subjective interpretation of lines and the performance of said lines. Thanks for bringing this detail to my attention. Yeah, that's it's an interesting sort of topic here. About Kairi and the fact that she experienced what Sora went through. Most of this is just a sort of a subjective disagreement on basically just the fact that I think that if Kairi had been through all of that, she should have responded more. She should have said something other than this, which is to say, that's right, we were together when Sora learned about her grandma's story. Anyway, that's how I feel. Important for me to note, though, that last comment of mine, just, some things people aren't going to agree on. I don't really see a difference in her. This person clearly does. But there's no factual basis for interpretation on that. It's all just kind of how you see it. So it's okay to disagree. Chat. More stuff about JoJo. Ansem's guardian. I see. Invisible punching ghosts. JoJo fans trying not to insert the franchise into literally everything challenge. It would be nice if you could talk to Kairi about her experience being inside Sora and her experiences with it. Yeah, I agree. Maybe being inside Sora made her the timid version of later games, like Trauma. That would be cool if they ever addressed it, but I don't think they do. Okay, this is a criticism. Good. It's a decent one that we just didn't agree on. Okay, let me fix this real fast. Okay. You mentioned how Kingdom Hearts 1 has a Metroidvania approach to some progression through movement abilities, and I feel like if they added some of that to Kingdom Hearts 2, it could have made exploring much better. A synthesis between Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2 would be amazing to me. I agree. And the thing about that is that Kingdom Hearts 2 had a really ripe movement system. And it's such a bummer that that they didn't do more with it. It looks like I'm dropping some frames. Hope that it's not getting too weird. I'm gonna dump this into Sephiroth is easily beat by Strike Raid. Equip Leaf Bracer, Second Chance, Strike Raid, and Curaga, and Megalix are on custom. If you pick staff at the beginning, you can get away. Yeah, so this person sort of talks about like Strike Raid grants iframes on the entire time. That being said, you will die if you don't use Curaga at the perfect time between Strike Raids. This is also the speedrun strat. If we ever meet up, no, we don't have enough time, and my heart moves for you and for observations and choices. Thank you, Tetramore. This is mostly praise. Maybe I'll say, well, I'll just say it's praise. But again, speaking about like optimal strategy versus like level. Well, this is like level 1. My analysis of it comes from the level 1 sort of interpretation, which doesn't have Strike Raid. He's actually pretty easy at like level 50 or whatever, you know. Is this guy a bot? Who knows? At least if he's a bot, he's on topic. Pre-rendered cutscenes hurtle over the uncanny valley, while modern ray-traced garbage look like demon androids staring into space, and the more stylized anime-ish regular gameplay is actually preferable a lot of times anyway. I actually made a panache file that allows L1 and L2 to be used for shortcut menus for more magic and items. That the second part of that sounds interesting and weird. First part, speaking to my sort of take that Kingdom Hearts 1's pre-rendered cutscenes greatly like just look better than than a lot of stuff in like modern games. Keeping in mind that I wrote that how long ago with the video? This is 3 years ago. So anyway, and it's still true to some degree. Why are the other worlds a secret if they all used to be connected as one giant realm of light? Because the time of the Age of Fairy Tales doesn't really matter to the current story, because it's a different time and a different place. This is a video game made in 2002. Okay, so this person, I guess, thought that I was more critical of it. Let's see. Please don't try to hold it to the same standards we have today. It was literally a made-up cluster of franchises made right after computers really became a thing, so I'm not surprised it has some holes in it. The fact that it came out as good as it did is mind-blowing. It was brand new, of course. Sure, it's flawed, but it was made in 2002. What did you expect? I'd tell people to quit being so critical and love it for what it is when it first came out. I think I responded to this and basically was like, I'm pretty sure that I was pretty fair to it, even related to, you know, call it a criticism. I think that I was pretty fair to it, even in relation to how it was. Probably getting ahead of myself, but I hope you mention how the inclusion of souls, however Nomura defines it, in Kingdom Hearts 3 further dilutes the whole what is a heart theme that the story had since Kingdom Hearts 1. Yeah, sorry, got distracted by real life stuff. What is a heart theme that the story had since 1? Well, I haven't played Kingdom Hearts 3 all the way through yet, so I have yet to really start to think about it. They're far away from each other. It's a mythological past more than anything. It's 2001. Yeah, I mean, there's even a thought that in Kingdom Hearts 1, like before Union Cross happened and stuff, that the age of fairy tales was literally just a fairy tale. Like it never even really happened, you know, like because it's kind of a myth in that game. Is 2001 about when computers first became a thing? I don't think so. Children fought darkness with keys or something. I don't know. And then the universe happened. I'm really disappointed that not one person mentions how the Keyblade is more of a blunt object. It's not even a blade at all. Yeah, that would be one correction that I need to add to this video. I need to make sure that I clarify that in the next one. Leon's a jerk. Very true. Enjoying this series, looking forward to hear what you have to say about 3 since I haven't played it. Loved your breakdown of all the mechanics. Makes me appreciate these games for their combat more. The one thing I have to disagree with is the quality of the writing, though. I can't agree with you that the broad strokes are pretty... I can agree with you that the broad strokes are pretty good, but even then, it's extremely and disappointingly shallow. Way too many buzzwords like light and darkness, even hearts, etc. Just get little to no explanation as to how they work or even what they are. Also, clearly you're much better at this game than I am, and we had a different experience, but it seems clear to me that bosses were not at all designed for proud mode. All the cheap hits, non-existent telegraphs, annoying time-wasting mechanics become absolutely excruciating when you can only take a handful of hits. I'm fighting the pot centipede, yeah. Anyway, you're very good at this type of long-form analysis. Put this in mixed. I have to agree with the quality of the writing. Yeah, I mean, we can disagree, I guess. Fun fact, you don't have to beat Wonderland, Olympus Coliseum, or Monstro, or Traverse Town. You can literally skip them, and that's true. Curative spells cast on friends 0. That's how I played these games. Get off my back. The story is surprisingly well done. How can you believe this? By what standard are you judging the story? I love this. That you could possibly come to this conclusion. And of course I said the one that I presented in the video. Yeah, I just find that really funny. It's like, by what standard? I definitely spent a decent amount of time talking about the standard for which I'm judging the game. Okay, so this is the comment that I wanted to talk about, because this is where we talk about cringe culture. Okay, in the third comment down, he says, this person says, I will agree though, it definitely stands out from the crowd. I'm not sure that's a good thing. I wonder how many people have been filtered from ever playing this game because of its qualities that make it stand out. Give me one. Give me one more second, sorry. Oh, my mic's been muted for a minute there. My bad. Okay, so yeah, cringe culture. This person says any analysis of these games can't afford to ignore the cringe factor. And basically, my whole idea behind this is I don't subscribe to it for the reason that I wrote here. I don't subscribe to cringe culture largely because I feel it usually ignores art that is being earnest by laughing at it. There's definitely some stuff in these games that are cringy, but is that really worth throwing away what the game does well? There's something to be said about, not being so worried about things that you think are cringy that you forget to just enjoy things. Like, just enjoy things. I don't like cringe culture. I think it's kind of dumb. Praise criticism, or there's a criticism for sure. Heartless Angel does not kill you. This is true. If you don't have second chance, this is true. And this was only 13 days ago. There's still things coming out. I would say in DMC's case, it feels like it embraces the cringe culture. Yeah, exactly. There can be benefit to that. There could be something really nice about like a game that is willing to kind of just be itself wholeheartedly. And in this sort of like modern age of games that are so afraid to be themselves that they're like ironic and I'm thinking of your like Forspokens of the world. It's like I like a game that's a little honest and just kind of is what it is. I don't agree with all your statements, but I appreciate the effort that you put into this. So like and stuff for me, praise. Why did they work so hard to make the synthesis so much worse than Final Mix? Ultimate Keyblade isn't worth it at all anymore. I agree. I don't get it. The breakout after... Okay, this is kind of a funny one. The breakout after 4 hits thing is consistent with Riku at the beginning. It's supposed to stop you from spamming and opening. This game was designed for you to have a lot of potential hits before needing healing. No, it wasn't. It's okay to drop some combos and come back. That's why you were struggling with some of these bosses. To talk to that first point, I responded here, but I'll sort of reiterate what I said in short. Basically, Riku's 4-hit break at the beginning of the game is fine because you only have 3-hit combo. Whereas once you get to Sephi, it gets really complicated and not very well designed. Again, I think that there is something to be said about sort of like, analyzing these games in terms of what they were back then, but you can also look at it now from the perspective of having Kingdom Hearts 2 to look at and say, yes, the revenge value system is just a better way to do this. This is just a better way to do this. I think that Sephi's breaking out of combos feeling so random, on top of the fact that he's inconsistent, is just not very good. There are, and to the second point in that first point, there are basically 2 points in this first point. The game was designed for you to have a lot of potential hits before needing healing. Objectively, it was. Because level 1, despite the fact that they could have very easily made a level 1 playthrough be a one-hit KO for literally every single boss, they didn't. Because the game was not designed to be played with so few hit points. The game was designed to be played with a good number of hit points, actually quite a lot, and you can face tank so many hits in the first game. And so like that to me is just, when you play the game with difficulty tuned to the max, you can start to see some issues just because you're not able to face tank those hits. Point 2, you're supposed to jump over half of Sephi's attacks, just like Kurtz's spinning attack. The horizontal one should be jumped over, and for the vertical one, you dodge roll to the side. Leaf Bracer was never necessary. I responded to this. Obviously, if you've watched the video, if you paid attention to the visuals, you would see that I literally jumped, you know. I was jumping over the hits constantly. Anyway, as for Leaf Bracer never being necessary, of course it's not. I never said it was required to beat him because people have done it at level 1. I just advocated for it because he can deal unavoidable damage. I could have pushed through and eventually beat him at level 1. No doubt in my mind about that. I just didn't care because of his inconsistencies. This person's third point is Kingdom Hearts was the first Souls game to get good. This is mostly a joke. I said, I mean, if every Dark Souls boss was either boring or poorly designed, then sure. This is also a joke. I don't necessarily... Do I say that every boss in Kingdom Hearts 1 is either boring or poorly designed? I might, and that's because it's probably true. Kind of funny, though. Other praise, criticism. This is a criticism. Ever Mario Thousand Door sewer theme. Yep. PS2 was 6th gen. That's a good criticism. Hate your version of the controls. This person just really hates my version of the controls. I thought that it was interesting that this person took such an offense to my version of the controls when I literally in my video said, like, it's not necessary, and I like the way that the controls are in the game. I just thought it would be fun to, you know, kind of try and come up with my own version. I think you were pretty generous with Riku too. Yeah, I mean, not every boss in the game is boring or poorly designed. Some of them are good. A shock is what I remember from the first video is that a shocking number of them were just simply boring. Yeah. This was a funny comment though. AI commands work, buddy. Did you even try pressing triangle? It's one of those times where I actually like quote directly from my, so like, most of the time if I receive a criticism, I actually will open up my script and like Control F search the section that they're talking about and sort of like see what I said. Yeah, I mean, this is just kind of funny because I never said that they didn't work. Yeah, it's just kind of funny. Ticking clock louder than... Okay. So you remember that comment earlier that said that the intro is really cool? Here's the other opinion. Ticking clock louder than the presenter's voice as they tried to set up the video has me turning this off immediately after starting it. Was excited for the series on KH after the hype video because I have the same questions, but can't deal with that kind of editing and audio quality present throughout multiple hours. Well, the intro was literally the only time I used sound effects. Here's how I feel about this. If you couldn't stomach the first 15 seconds of the video being mixed in a way that you didn't appreciate, my videos are not for you. Case in point, Universal Paper Clips. You know. Criticism. You're not good enough. Okay, so here's so you're not good enough at the game to say the things you do. Please play at harder difficulties or else refrain from commenting on the gameplay. As soon as I heard you saying Cure was better than Potions, I knew you were a total amateur and played on normal or beginner. I just love this because it's just so factually incorrect. I don't know how you get to this point. Like, hold on. I've got the video up here. No, I don't have a section where I talk. Where I was wondering if I had a chapter that specifically said that I have a level 1 section. I don't, but even then, I just objectively didn't play on normal or beginner. I just didn't. And I love the idea that this person is just like, based on this one thing that I said, I guess, is just like, you must have played on normal or beginner, and you're an amateur at a video game. I just thought this was really this is just really funny to me. I love it. Is criticism. KH gets better each new release. KH 3 Remind was amazing. Yozora is one of the best bosses ever. Can't wait for Kingdom Hearts 4. I haven't fought Yozora yet. We will see. I understand that he is gruelingly difficult, but we shall find out. Praise, criticism, mixed, other. Praise, criticism, mixed, other. This is just another. And there you go. That is, that's all of Kingdom Hearts 1. That took, how long? How long have we been streaming? How long have we been going? 2.5 hours? Not too bad, I guess. So for frame of reference, without that game, we now have, let's see, properties. You can't see this, but we have, we still have 700 pictures to go through. I'm gonna stop here because my family just got in town. But thank you for joining me. I saw a VTuber finishing Kingdom Hearts 2 on critical without equipping items. Yeah, people are crazy. And that's the thing I've got to recognize, is that I am not the be-all, end-all when it comes to people, you know, like, who play this game. I'm very much good. You know, I'm good. I feel like I'm in sort of like the higher tier of players to a certain extent, but ultimately there are people that are better than me, and that's okay. I write from my perspective. That's the point that I want to make here. So anyway, thanks for joining. At least this one had the most comments. No. Let's look at the facts. Let's see. I don't think so anyway. Let me check. I think Kingdom Hearts 2 does. No, it doesn't. So Kingdom Hearts 1 had 300 comments, which it's pared down a little bit, just so it's clear, because it's pared down because I didn't take snapshots of like timestamps, like people that are just leaving timestamps for themselves. I didn't take snapshots for that, and I didn't take snapshots of most of the reply comments individually. It's all roots. But Kingdom Hearts 1 had 300. Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories has 177. Kingdom Hearts 2 is 262. Recoded has 92. So things will speed up. Days has 145. So it actually does have the most. Nope, I was wrong. Birth by Sleep, 377. But my Final Fantasy 13 video has 1,500. So if I ever do it for that one alone is going to take more than all of these videos combined. Fun facts. Breath by Sleep probably has the most divisive comments, I believe you meant, because of how split that game is. Yes, it does. There's a lot of people that disagree with me. We'll get there. It's fun though. Hope you all have a wonderful day. See you in the next one.